All right. Good evening, Team Fireball. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you're on the call live, we are so excited that you're here. If you're joining the replay, thank you so much for coming back and listening to our team Monday night team calls. We just love being here. We love um, giving you guys good nuggets and all kinds of fun stuff to help grow our business. And I just love to connect with you guys here on Monday nights. So thanks for joining us. Um, I am going to, oh, sorry, let me let me share who I am in case you don't know who I am. My name is Jenny Field. I'm a Pro 4 with LifeVantage, and I live in Reno, Nevada. So part of this Team Fireball team, but over on the West Coast, where most of you guys are over on the East Coast. But I love that we can connect together and still feel like a team, even though we're spread out all over the place. Okay, now for the good stuff. I will share my screen with you guys. All right, perfect. So again, welcome to Monday night's team call, Fireball call. As we always do every week, we want to congratulate the distributors that got new enrollments for the last week. So this last week, I would love to congratulate Rachel Edelman, Kayla Baston, and myself, Jenny Field. So good job, you guys. It really is like an incredible accomplishment to get new customers. It is not easy. It takes, persistent dedication and follow up and conversations and all that kind of good stuff to get new customers. So it is a huge deal, and we just want to congratulate those distributors that get those new customers every single week, so that you feel, like job well done, good job, and give yourself a little pat on the back, because it definitely is what keeps our business going, and making new connections definitely gets us out of our comfort zone, which is a really good thing. So awesome job. All right, tonight I want to highlight this incredible product. We love to go over and share a little bit about our products each week. And I just felt like daily wellness has not been talked about recently. And it is something that I use every single day. It's meant to be used every single day. That's why they named it Daily Wellness. But it is an incredible product that I think is kind of overlooked a little bit. There is some incredible science behind it, and there are 5 active ingredients in it that make up daily wellness. I'm going to just read off of basically my website underneath the daily wellness tab of what it does, and how it helps boost our immune system and support our immune system, really on that preventative measure. Like, this is not a product that you're going to use, like, you can use it when you get sick, but this is meant to be used as a preventative measure, as something to use every single day, so that our immune system is being activated and boosted and protecting our bodies before we even get sick, which is incredible. So like I said, it's made up of 5 specific ingredients. Those ingredients are vitamin C, which helps with, it's an antioxidant. So that helps with the growth of all of our body tissues and involves the absorption of iron its proper function of the immune system. And it also helps to maintain and like the maintenance of our cartilage, our bone, and our teeth. So vitamin C is really, really incredible. The second herb is vitamin D, and that helps maintain the body's most important function. Oh, getting ahead of myself, hit the button on accident. The body's most important functions, such as regulating the absorption of our calcium and phosphorus, and facilitating normal immune functions of our immune system. And then there's zinc, and that is an essential trace element needed for proper growth and maintenance of the human body, and is also found in several systems that are crucial to our immune response. And then there's two other ingredients in here that are really unique and really different. And I think it's what sets our, immune support supplement kind of separated and different than other immune supports out there. But elderberry is a component that's in our daily wellness, and that is known for its high vitamin C and dietary fiber content. Plus, it's an excellent source for phenolic, I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, acid. Phenolic, is that right? Yeah. Okay. And flavonoids. So that elderberry component is really, really cool in there. And then there is fermented yeast extract in there. So this is kind of really interesting, and it acts as like a postbiotic inside of our bodies. So we have our prebiotic, we have our probiotic, and then this is kind of acting as like a postbiotic. So it has proteins in it, fibers, vitamins, all kinds of really good stuff to help with that gut microbiome and all that kind of good stuff inside your immune system. So the daily wellness is incredible. I mix it in with my Axio every single day, along with my prebiotic. So I'm getting all of it kind of together. But if you haven't tried our daily wellness, I would definitely encourage you to try it, especially, going into summer when we all get busy and our immune system, gets lowered. So check that daily wellness out. It's awesome. All right. For tonight's training, I really wanted to share with you guys about a book that I have been reading. And the book is called The 5-Second Rule, and it's by Mel Robinson. And Janae actually sent the book to Abby and I to start reading or listening to. We've been listening to it on Audible. But she's read this book, and she said it has helped her through so many challenges in her life. And it really is incredible. So if you are not familiar with Mel Robinson or with the 5-second rule, you can find the book really easy because that's what it's called. The 5-second rule by Mel Robinson. And it is phenomenal. And she created this rule. It's nothing, I don't want to say it's not spectacular because it is spectacular, but it's really nothing that like is crazy, but she has put a ton of research into why the 5-second rule works and has just created an incredible platform for us to use the 5-second rule. So a few elements of the 5-second rule, I'm just going to kind of go over them a little bit, is the moment that you have an instinct. She really encourages you to act upon it right away within 5 seconds. Because if we don't, that instinct goes away. That urge to call somebody, that urge to reach out to somebody, that urge to make a huge, life changing, altering event in your life. I mean, it can be anything from something huge in your life to as simple as maybe I just really shouldn't put this piece of chocolate in my mouth. you know, like it is incredible. So, the moment that you feel an instinct or a desire to act on a goal or a commitment, we need to use the rule. The second element is to act on a goal. It is crucial for you to understand um, is that it is not just about acting on an instinct. It is an instinct that is tied to a goal. And then the third element is you must push yourself. Push yourself even when you don't want to do it. It's about taking control of your own life, one push at a time. And the countdown is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And you literally have to count down. We cannot count up. And there is some science to that. Counting backwards actually does something to our brain. And I'm going to get to that in a minute on the next slide. So we can't count up, you have to count down. The fourth element is to move within that 5 seconds. Like you physically have to get up or get out of bed. And she talks a lot about this in her book. She invented this 5-second rule just to get herself out of bed. She was in a funk. She was in a time in her life where she didn't even want to get out of bed because she just knew her day was going to just fall apart. But you physically have to move, and that's what makes it work. All you need to do is move into the direction of what your instinct is leading you. And then the fifth element is, or our brain's going to kill it. Like if we don't count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and move our bodies, our brain's going to just take it away and shut it off. So if you don't actually physically move within those 5 seconds, you're killing your dreams. And I love this little graph that's on the right-hand side of the screen. I Googled and just tried to find some fun images to share tonight. And I don't know, it was just fun to see some of these different things. I'm going to move my picture because it's covering it up. On just to really think about like knowing what we're supposed to do, but actually doing it are two different things, right? We always have a hesitation. That is a bad habit that we tend to create. Life isn't lived in the years, days, or even hours. It's lived in the moments that we have. And that I think is huge and very, very impactful. All right, so I talked about how we have to count down and we can't count up, and that has to do with what it does to our brain. And so there are studies out there, and she has done all the research for us, so we don't have to go and find those studies. But what happens when we count backwards? It actually activates that prefrontal cortex region inside of our brain. And it requires us to focus and take action on something. So when we count backwards, we can move, we can get up, and we can focus on what the task at hand is, or what our goals are, or what that instinct is that you have in your mind. So the old you, those habits, those things that you just do on autopilot, those default patterns that we have, our self-doubt or worries, we can just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, push those aside, be done with those things, and jump into the new you with intention, with confidence, with courage, with new patterns and new habits. So there have been plenty of times that I have talked myself out of so many different things, things within my business, things within my life, things within my, parenting strategies, my marriage, whatever it may be. Those are things that we just have automatically created inside of ourselves. And so since reading this book, I have really been trying to put this 5-second rule into practice. And that takes work too. That takes work to do it as well, because we are so trained to just go and do our normal life that we do every single day. And so even though I'm giving you guys this awesome principle and something to try to implement into your life, know that it's not going to just happen right away. You're not going to just get up and decide, okay, every time I have this little decision in my mind, or every time I have this, great idea, I'm going to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 it, and I'm going to go and I'm going to do it. And it's going to happen, because it's not, and that's okay, because we are all human. But it is a great principle to be able to start to implement into our lives. This quote here that she says, if you have the courage to start, you have the courage to succeed. And I just love that, because I think so many times we have these great ideas in our mind and we're like, oh, yes, wouldn't that be great if I could just do that? But instead of saying, if I could do that, we can 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go do it. All right. So here, big, bold, the 5-second rule. The moment you have an instinct to act on a goal, you must 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and physically move, or your brain will stop you. And it's okay to be scared. Being scared means you're about to do something that is really, really brave. And the last thing that I want to share before I have Abby come on, because I asked her if she wouldn't mind sharing a few takeaways since she's read through the whole entire book, is this activation energy. As I was listening to the book, Mel talked about this activation energy. And so I had to go look it up to figure out exactly what it was, because I just connected with it first because it had activation in it. And I was like, well, we're in this amazing business that is activating all of our bodies. And so when she talked about it, I was just like, okay, I got to figure out what this is. But it's the force that's required to get you to change from something you're doing on autopilot to doing something new. So I just thought that was really, really cool, that activation energy portion of it. All right. Ab, I'm going to stop sharing. And if Abby is still on the call, yep, she's still on the call. Abby, would you mind unmuting just for a second and sharing with us a couple of your takeaways from the book and a few things that maybe you've implemented or a few things that you've actually used the 5-second rule on?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little staticky, but we can hear you.
Yeah, I don't have great service here.
Okay.
But if you can hear me, then that's fine. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So I read the book, and one thing I took away was the feelings side of it.
You hit mute, Abby, so you muted yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
That a lot of your feelings are reasons why you choose not to make the choices that can help you succeed. You have a fear of it going a different way than what you have it pictured in your mind or what you want it to go. And when you use the 5-second rule, you eliminate the process of letting your brain make up scenarios of what ifs. And I think that was a big thing that stuck out to me was when you put a feeling into a goal rather than factual things, you begin to think about all the negatives that could happen and you stop focusing on the positives just because that's naturally how your brain is wired. So when you eliminate that process of being able to not think about the feelings, then things happen and things change, and that's when you start making progress. I don't know, I think that was just like the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. The feelings thing is huge, because we stop ourselves from doing so many things or acting on so many things because of that fear of the what if that we don't even have any control over. And that fear of taking a step outside of our comfort zone is hard to overcome. And if we can kind of eliminate that feeling or just push that feeling aside and act on whatever it is that we're thinking of, it can create massive change or massive results in such a positive way. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, go ahead.
I have one more thing. So in the book, Mel was talking about how the reason she had a problem with hitting her snooze button is because of the stresses of her day, and her brain subconsciously knew that, if she snoozed for 5, 10, 15 more minutes, she could put off that, kind of having to confront those stresses and those problems of her day. And so I think that's another thing too, is just opening your mind to realize what it is that your brain is subconsciously holding you back from, or why your brain is subconsciously, stopping you from doing something, and kind of addressing those problems face on rather than them holding you back and you not even knowing about it. But also, like, on the positive side of things, if you really want something and you know how to get there, a lot of times the hardest part is just starting it. You pushing that ball or whatever, you get the ball rolling. That's usually the hardest part once you've started moving. And she talks about that too, that the hardest part about change or doing something is just the beginning. And this rule is not supposed to it's not supposed to make it easy, and it's not gonna change everything in one countdown, but starting that process will help it to be easier in the long term, and will help you to learn the skills to make it easier, not so much the rule itself making it easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we just need to end the call right there because that was just powerful. And you just said it all in a few little minutes. But you're so right. Like, it's just about getting the ball rolling, and that, yeah, it's not going to, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 go isn't going to automatically change everything, but pushing it, moving it in the right direction. And, like Mel was talking about, she wanted to hit the snooze button to ignore or not have to deal with the situations of the day, but those situations are still going to arise no matter what. It's just how we deal with those situations and how we put ourselves forward to act on those things that make the big difference. So thank you so much for sharing, Ab. I'm just going to read the chat right here. Yep. Chrissy says, that's so true, Abby. Overthinking, fear. It's taking the action over and over again. Absolutely. Well, I will open up the call because we do have just a few more minutes left. If anybody would like to share, we'd love to have you share.
Just gonna say, if we had only found you guys a few years earlier, do you know Mel Robbins was our keynote speaker at one of the Elite Academies?
No.
And her whole talk was on the 5-second rule.
No
but
way.
It's been like, yes. And it's been years since, I'm trying to think what year it was. It was probably like it's probably 6 years ago, because it was one of the first few years, I think, when I joined, but I just her talk was so phenomenal. And she totally, talked to us about that rule. And so this was such a great reminder. And it's funny because when you said something like just doing the countdown, not to eat the piece of chocolate. So I started a new diet and I'm reading this book. Okay. And it's funny because he's going through the same principles about when you get that, except this is like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 countdown to stop yourself from acting, right? Instead of but I guess stopping yourself is still an action. But one of the things that I just thought was so funny is he's talking about the different parts of the brain, like you were saying, and how we have, what separates humans from animals is that, humans and animals have that reptilian brain, which is really the fight or flight survival type brain. And then they have the emotional brain, which is like the limbic system of the brain. And so animals tend to act from that limbic emotional brain to that reptilian brain. But the name that he gave the emotional brain was a Labrador brain. And it just reminded me how, when Labradors have no problem with the 5-second rule, they just go for it, as soon as they see something, it's like, boom. And so anyway, I just thought that was so funny, thinking about that. And then, yeah, it's our prefrontal cortex that always, kind of tricks us up when we start overthinking. And when we have an instinct, animals run on instinct and they can be trained and things like that, but their instincts are always there. And so I think it's really, we are animals in the sense we have an instinct to run away from scary things. We have an instinct to avoid pain at all costs. And so, we have to override that with our thinking brain. And so giving you that pause is allowing those parts of your brain to communicate with each other. So anyway, it just reinforced some of the stuff that I've been reading too. So I really loved everything that you and Abby shared. I'm so glad you guys are reading that book. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks so much for sharing that, Allison. And yes, Abby was like, I would love to see Mel Robinson in person. Me too.
Yeah.
That's so cool that she was one of the keynote speakers. Yeah, she's got some really good stuff. So Abby says, I finished on Friday. I feel like I need to read it 10 more times. So yeah, so many good nuggets. Yeah, I think that there's definitely a book that you can go back and read over and over and over again, and you're going to pick up something new every single time, or just be like, that was a great refresher because I needed to hear that again. So awesome. All right, you guys. Well, if nobody else has anything, then we'll end the call. Thanks so much, you guys, for joining us on our Monday night Team Fireball call, and we'll see you guys all next week.